The average human brain contains about 100 billion neurons. Neurons are nerve cells and are responsible for sending information in the form of neural messages from one neuron to the next throughout different parts of the brain. If we zoom in and have a look at the schematic of a typical neuron, we see that it is elongated much like an electrical wire. Anatomically, there are different parts that make it up. The dendrites, which receive information from the neuron earlier in the chain, the cell body, just like the cell body of other cells that you'll find throughout the body, contains a nucleus and mitochondria. The axon, which carries information from the dendrites to the other end of the neuron, where we have the terminal branches. The terminal branches of the neuron are responsible for sending information to the next neuron in the chain. The axon is insulated by the myelin sheath comprising smaller cells known as Schwann cells. Myelin optimizes the transmission of neural information in the form of action potentials along the neuron. Action potentials are positive electrical potentials that are generated when sodium ions move into the cell and potassium ions move out. At rest, there is a greater concentration of sodium ions outside the cell membrane and greater concentration of potassium ions within the cell membrane. The change in concentration of sodium and potassium ions within and outside the cell forms the action potential. The concentrations are restored as the action potential travels along the nerve fiber from the cell body to the terminal branches. The rate at which action potentials are generated can increase or decrease depending on whether the stimulus is excitatory or inhibitory. An excitatory stimulus will increase the rate at which the neuron generates action potentials. During prolonged stimulation, the rate at which action potentials are generated returns to rest, a period known as adaptation. Once the excitatory stimulus is removed and the stimulation stopped, the rate at which action potentials are generated falls below the resting discharge rate. A period of time is required in order for the neuron to return to its original resting discharge rate. These are the basics of neural communication.